Thank you, guys. Welcome to this year's Intendence Film Festival. This is our third night, Saturday night. You guys just wrapped up some amazing films. I had a great time with all of you. We have our filmmakers here on stage here at Denver Open Media, and we're going to introduce ourselves one at a time and say what film we made.
My name is Evan Wiley, and I'm representing The Wolves.
My name is Kaan Olguntürk, and I shot the movie Scent of the Leather.
My name is Ryan Francis Johnson. I did Downsize.
My name is Ivan Pavletic, and I did 476 AD, Chapter 1, The Last Light of Ares.
My name is Sophia Rose, and I'm representing Ronnie Kramer's The Living Canvas.
My name is Brad Haig, and I'm responsible for the Jean-Claude Van Damme Damn's Damn Van trailer.
Ron Hurley of the short film Traveler.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here at Denver Open Media for this year's 2014 Intendence Film Festival. Do we have any audience questions for our filmmakers? Oh, I have one.
So general question to all of you as directors and filmmakers. On set, what do you find to be the most difficult obstacle to overcome?
That is a fantastic question. We want to start with the Wolves.
Sure. So for me personally, I was doing a lot of the logistical stuff on set as assistant director for The Wolves, and we found that, especially in our outdoor shoots, that it was audio that was the main problem. And I mentioned that we had a difficulty with woodpeckers and planes and things like that, and so that's really, when it comes to logistical things, the thing that comes up the most. And other than that, lighting when it's indoors is very hard as well.
Well, for me, most challenging thing is to keep the motivation high for everyone, every moment. I mean, because my crew is working for me without asking for money, and you know, they should be. I should find a way to motivate them, no matter what problem we are living. But we are human, you know. Sometimes I feel bad as well, but trying to hide it and trying to keep the motivation up for everyone, that's a hard thing. And budget is never enough, no matter how much you have.
I think making sure what you're getting is good, you know? I think that's the hardest thing to know for sure. I think sometimes you're on set and you're like, is this gonna work? Is it good? But you have to just kind of go with what you're doing, and hopefully it turns out well.
In my case, in all honesty, I would say, well, I would agree with budget, but one of the things is I'm sort of my own biggest obstacle, because it is hardest to sacrifice your own vision when you see something that needs to be done, but the circumstance doesn't quite allow it, and then you have to make changes, and they do not quite go with what you envisioned. So I would say that's sort of the biggest obstacle for me.
And in The Living Canvas, I didn't film that. I was body painting, so I think I'll have to pass on that question.
As a director, you're always answering questions, and I'm not a good multitasker. So when I got two departments trying to figure out what's supposed to be going on, and I'm trying to make sure they do everything right, like that's gets to be a bit much, but it's what needs to be done. So just do it.
I would have to say, you know, months of pre-planning for an on-location shoot up in Idaho Springs, and when you finally get to the day that you're getting up there and all the planning and everything that's been coordinated, you get up there and there's 4 inches of snow on the ground for the first time of the year, would have to be the biggest struggle. But and then the storm and clouds rolling in and just making it work, you know, make it work for the story, make it better, is, you know, just being able to recover from it and not have to reschedule a shoot. But yeah, outdoor shooting can definitely, because you don't know what you're going to get, especially in Colorado.
Very cool. All right, next question. All right, we have an audience member coming up. Just 1 second. It might be Bob Webb. We don't know yet. Yes. Oh, here he comes.
Yes, I'm Bob Webb.
Hi, Bob.
How close do you think you got for each of your films to the vision that you had in the beginning? Are you happy with where you got to be with it?
So I worked very closely with Kate on the production of The Wolves, and I did editing as well, so it was kind of like where it all came together was the editing, and I just remember her speaking on her behalf. It got very close, very, very close, if not matched what she had envisioned, which is really cool, and it's pretty uncommon, I think, for indie films of this level. I don't know, my personal opinion.
Well, I mean, of course, I'm satisfied with my film, but I wish I could have 2 or 3 more days to spend there, you know, to shoot more, to give myself more opportunities of editing some other stuff. I do editing myself, just like my colleague here. So it could be similar, but not necessary.
For this thing I did, I think I got pretty close. I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, there's always things that, you know, you look at and you're like, oh, I can't fucking watch that. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think we got pretty close to it. So I'm happy.
Yay.
In all honesty, I would say there are 2 answers, 85 and 120. The original plan to do this by the script is around 85% close. But what ended up with some other things that came across that I did not plan, I would say it's around 115, 120. So altogether, it's hard to say, maybe 90 or something.
With the movie The Living Canvas, it was a documentary about the very last exhibition in my studio, in my gallery. And I just had asked Ronnie Kramer to document that, and he used his own vision with filming and editing. And I like what he came up with.
It looked a lot like what I saw when I was there, so yeah.
You guys only got to see our trailer. And I've obviously seen the rest of the film, and it's the most ambitious thing we've ever done, and I have to say it's actually exceeded what I put on the page, so I can't wait to share the whole project with you guys. So
I'd say we're about 95% of what we originally envisioned for Trower to come out. And
Very cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. For Jean-Claude Van Damme's Damn Van, when is that expected to come into play as far as like an actual full length?
like, when are we going to be done with it?
Yes.
I'm expecting. Yeah, there's a mic over here. Probably winter, I think. We're very close to wrapping principal, probably this month, photography, and yeah, it'll be months ahead of a lot of post-production. So, yep.
Thank you. So you guys know sound is a huge problem in most film, locally and kind of throughout the country. We do have a local sound studio, Plan 9 Studios, that does our film editing and things like that. And they taught a fantastic workshop here earlier about sound design in film. What are some of the most creative things that you've had to do as far as working with sound outdoors, indoors? Are there any clever tricks you could pass on to filmmakers? Yep. Go there. Start that way.
I don't know yet.
Okay, we'll start this way then. I can start this way. Go for it.
Well, I was telling the story earlier to the sound designer himself that we had a really interesting thing come up, and it's always just listening to the little sounds that are around you, because I've always liked audio sound for film. Well, I was shooting a wedding for a family member as we were getting close to doing the final edits on Traveler, and we're up in Breckenridge, and there was this really strong boiler that would kick out every 20 minutes. It sounded like a jet engine that would go up, and it would just, there was a flapper that just boom, 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 you know, and it would do that. And we didn't have the sound for our time machine Nazi bell. We wanted it to be kind of broken. We wanted it to be kind of functioning, but we wanted it to be familiar. And as it came up, I just kind of was filming the sweating, and everyone else was annoyed by it. But I'm like, that's it. You know, everyone else cleared away, and I ran into the staff. I'm like, "What is that?" They're like, "Oh, it's our boiler. It kicks on. We're so sorry." I'm like, "No, make it happen again." You know, and so just go out there and wait for it. It'll happen every 20 minutes. So I'm sitting out there. Everyone else is in there enjoying the appetizers and drinks, and I'm out there with this high def camera with a boom mic with a headset on. And, you know, my wife comes out with her dad, my father-in-law. "What's your husband doing?" And I'm sitting here, you know, trying to record this thing in different angles and trying to get the sound. I think it's for his movie, but I ended up getting it off the card and emailing it out to my partner, Greg, co-producer, and he put it in the movie right away, did his thing with it, and it worked brilliantly, and it worked great. So it's just, you just listened for the art of sound, and anywhere. It could be the lid of a toilet to a cat dragging across stones. You never know what you're looking for.
Thank you. Closer mic.
Yeah, I would agree with Ron. I'm very, very much on the sound. Sound is extremely important to me. Like when I was, we shot sequences in Italy and in Croatia and Dalmatian coastline, which is the Mediterranean climate. And one thing that I always notice whenever I'm in that Mediterranean climate is cicadas. So that sound, you know, and it's one thing at the beginning of my movie. I wanted to recreate, you know, not recreate. You actually have the original cicadas. I wanted to have the actual natural sunlight, not a CGI sunlight. I wanted to see the reality of Mediterranean, you know, life through image and sound. So you saw the plums, you saw the fly flying around the plums and things like that. Little things that your subconscious notices. And many times, a lot of times you will not notice these things, but your subconscious notices. And I think those little things are the things that make you want to see the movie again, I think.
Anyone else want to tap into that question? Khan?
Well, what I think is a filmmaker should think that the whole crew is made from artists, okay? Everyone. So as you share your need as the director what you want more specifically, but leaving them an empty area so they can use their creativity. For example, my film, I work with a sound designer, and I gave him the sound, wild sound I recorded on set, interviews, and I asked for the sounds which I need them to be, you know, faked. But then I let him do whatever he does, and he had in the end sequence, he put a music there. I was not thinking about using any music all during the film, and when I was watching it, I said, it was like I said, okay, it looks better this way. You know, I was not thinking at all, so that's what I can say. You know, just trusting your crew and letting them do their creativity as well.
All right. Do we have any other questions? Oh, we got one. One in the queue over there.
So when you're working with actors, do you guys like it when the actors do improv and go off the script, or do you like them to stick with the script? Like sometimes I notice, you know, when actors go off of the script, sometimes you get amazing things that happen. So how do you guys feel when an actor goes off the script and starts doing improv?
For me personally, a lot of it is kind of like you take the script where you think is most natural, and then you stay consistent with that. And I think with The Wolves particularly, it was more of like, I think a lot of it was following the script, but there was a lot of improv throughout the way, and I think the consistency was kept, but. I think mostly it's for The Wolves, it was sticking to the script, and we were able to figure out how to, like, okay, you can still have the same lines and the same things happening and have it work towards making it more natural. So I think that's what we did.
Well, I I shot a documentary. That's why in this case there was no script in this movie. But I think, just like I said before, that the actor is an artist too, and I think a space should be left him to show how he sees that script. That's how I think.
For me personally, we do a lot of rehearsals before, or I like doing rehearsals beforehand. So we'll kind of talk about, if we're gonna stick to the script or, go off book at all. But if they come up with something that's great, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome when actors kind of take it and do their own thing with it. I think that's good to see if they're good, but hopefully they are.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult for me to answer this because I'm an actor and a director at the same time, and it's sort of a weird combination. It's like playing chess with yourself and being at the mat position. And many times I get in the position where I understand actors really well because being an actor, I can really detect what they're going for. When it comes to improv, I don't mind improvisation, but I'm very much into the content of the character of the actor. When I audition, I have a very unorthodox way of auditioning. I like to have a beer with the actor. I like to meet with them in the evening, to talk to them, to see how they really think, to really feel their human side. So sometimes with the actors, like they will have a certain set standard of acting. So what I will ask them to do is I will ask them to act badly purposely. The reason I do this is because I will ask them to do something which is totally against their comfort level, and I want to detect how far are they willing to go against that comfort level. And many times it's sort of like you have learned all this up to this to be a solid actor. Now I want you to sort of break what you know, and I want to see what you know, what comes out of you without all that previous knowledge. And it's sort of destroying the image to create the truth. It's my own thing that I work with sometimes, so it's sort of weird.
Thank you. The Living Canvas was a documentary, and we had no script, so all the artists were just doing what they felt was natural.
For me, my script is just a blueprint, so I like to just kind of put what needs to be down and then see what the actors, how they interpret it and see what they come up with. Unless, of course, there's something integral, like if the line has to be said as exact way to further the story correctly. But other than that, like when we actually get on set and start shooting, they'll know what lines they have to get through, and often I'll just wait till the end of the take and just keep rolling while they're expecting cut, and they'll just kind of ad-lib, and it's fun to see like how they continue the scene without any direction. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of think of the screenplay as just a blueprint, and how I was taught. So going back and looking at everything that happened through our story, a lot of the I can sit there word for word and read a lot that I wrote and we wrote that they're saying word for word, but then you can see the things that they threw in there last minute, and just having that extra fun is just it's a good way to go. I mean, I don't stick to the guidelines. If they want to stray off the path and make it a little bit of their own, then I'm happy to do that.
Awesome, thank you. I think Mo has a question, and then Vincent has one right after.
Hi, my question is for Ivan. Since your film was a period piece, what kind of research and efforts did you take to make sure that the set and the costumes and everything were authentic, and did you run into any challenges?
Yes, I did. I've been studying history and through university and also on my own, and did some theology studying and etc. So I'm a big history buff, and the problem is financial budgeting. That's my movie, we're depicting a period between 451 and 476 AD. A lot of the metal armor is from like 300s AD, so we're about 100 to 150 years off. A lot of people will not notice that, but a lot of history geeks like me will. So you have to take risks. I mean, Sophia and Adriana, they helped tremendously. And Adriana, they sold, I don't know how many, like 20, 30, 40 togas and stuff. They really saved me. So a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is just helping other people come across who tell you, you know, oh, this is wrong, this is right, and then you realize, and you go through a book, you go online and you realize, oh, whoops, you're right, we're 2 centuries over the... So yeah, things happen, but I think in order to do a history piece, yeah, you have to really be solid with history. You need to know what's going on. Otherwise, you really fall into loopholes that it's hard to get out then, you know.
Thanks.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, in your filmmaking, are you using storyboards in any of your filmmaking?
Actually, no. We used, I think the director, Kate, kind of went mostly off of her vision and kind of verbally expressed what she was envisioning. And we mostly used, to keep track with, we used shot lists more so than storyboards.
Well, even if it's a documentary, I sometimes, for very important shots, I draw storyboards. But I definitely shot floor plan for every shot.
Yeah, we will. We'll use storyboards, we'll use shot lists, all that stuff, just to make sure that we have the plan ready to go. So when we get on set, it's like there's no questions about what we're doing.
Yes, very much. I draw and paint, so I draw all my storyboards all the time, and I've done drawing of the storyboards before. So I remember with David Quakenbush, who was our director of photography, my vision tends to be so complex that it's hard to explain to the cinematographer, and then I'll draw the whole picture, a painting, and he will put it in front of him on the camera. Everything is clear. So storyboards is the way to go. It is the most clearest way of the vision.
We had a shoot list for ours.
Doing an action movie, you should absolutely do storyboards. I, however, have not been doing storyboards for my film because a hang-up I have is not knowing exactly how the location looks. I don't want to spend a lot of time drawing and then find out that those angles don't actually work for that scene. But one other technique that I'm trying to try out more is setting up action figures and just photographing them in the scenes I want as a little...
Like
yeah.
Lucas.
Did Lucas do that?
In his very first film.
Excellent.
Sweet.
Yeah, the process that I'll go through is like basically Greg and I would basically go up to like somewhere like Colorado Springs. We'd make a day out of it, go up there, and we block the whole entire scene that we're shooting up there. We mark down everything, just writing it down, and then we come back, type it up, and then I would actually draw the storyboards to coincide with what I wanted to see with the vision. So, you know, if we're standing on one side of the mountain, we get all the shots over there before we move the camera back to the other side, so we're not going back and forth all day long. So we'll get everything there. So, I mean, the shot lists are invaluable just for the fact that you almost pack it up. You're like, oh, we almost forgot that shot, you know. But I would go back and just kind of how I wanted to see the camera positioned. If it was a dolly, I'd be drawing the big arrow, like, okay, it's a slow dolly this way or whatever. But yeah, other things that I would do, because I'm a 3D artist as well. I've done 3D animation of certain shots before the final, so it's almost like a pre-visualization, and then stick it into the edited movie to make sure the pace was right. So there's a lot of different tools to use.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. So I was just wondering, with the changing of like technology and different media platforms, what you think of the future of filmmaking, or like what direction it's heading in?
Ooh, breaking out the
Getting
tough
fancy.
I think my note is something that is already really seen a lot of, which is kind of with the advancement of our technology, it gives us more ability to make films. Like I'm 17 years old and I can make a film with my iPhone or my mom's camera, you know, and it's like it really comes down to now it's less about the equipment, I think, in my personal opinion, and more about your talent. And so, you know, like find everything that you can with, and it gets cheaper and cheaper, right, with this equipment that's coming out. And it's so great because now we not only have, you know, we can make more with, you know, less. Yeah. And it's great, so.
Well, I totally agree with my friend.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. I also think the internet, with the kind of how you can just put something online is kind of a huge game changer. Just being able to put it out there and somebody can see it instantly. I think it's going to keep going in that direction. But yeah, like you said, the available technology and stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty much agree. Digital compared to old celluloid. I mean, the ability to manipulate footage that you couldn't really do that much with celluloid. I'm 40 years old, so I'm a little bit older. I've been doing this for a while. And working with film a long time ago and working with digital now, it's so much easier, but there's this nostalgia for that 35, 16 millimeter look. And, I try to manipulate my movie with the look of my movie to look 35 millimeter. So, but the ability to do this through digital is what the future is.
I agree with my friends here.
I guess like the next step would just be to inject it like all the movies directly into your own brain. I don't like that idea. I still like the idea of just sitting on the couch and watching a TV. So I hope that doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me started on this. But yeah, digital technology is the way to go, and I really love it. It's just, I find it very ironic and funny is that I've always been searching for ways to make video look more like film, and then we finally got there, and now they're trying to make it look more like video. And, you walk into the Best Buy, and they have these new awesome plasma TVs that are running a higher hertz, which are making the most awesome movies look like they're shot on a Beta SP with the smoothness to it, and people are loving it. I'm like, what? Don't do that. It just, to me, it takes away the grittiness of what film is, and eventually it's not going to be called filmmaking. It's going to be digital making, movie making. It just, I will always want to shoot something at 24 frames a second. I will never want to do something at 60 frames a second, like The Hobbit. I saw that in the theater. Yes, it looks beautiful. Yes, it does. But at the same time, it just, to me, it pulls me out of it, not into it, as grittiness as a 24 frame movie. And that's what the movies are to me.
Awesome. I think Indigo has a question, and then Scoop, if you have a question, you can come right after that.
Hello. My question is, what current projects, if any, are you working on? And was there anything in the movies that you filmed for this festival that helped you in your current projects?
So right now, me personally, I'm working on another short film of mine. And I know Kate, the director of this film, is definitely working towards the writing process of her next film. And one thing that I took from working on her set was just like the production process. And I found that it's like amazing how much I learned from working on other people's sets versus my own. And I find it to be a lot more, actually. And so I took that and what I learned from this movie and applied it to what I'm working on now. And it's made it a lot better. And so it's pretty cool.
Well, I just finished a feature documentary about a magician, a Turkish illusionist. He called himself the Illusionist, and subtitling is going on. I think that's all I can say.
Yeah, I'm working on another short film that I wrote and directed, and I think the biggest thing that I learned on this last one was just, working with actors and trying to get good performances with them, and kind of how to kind of get the performance that you want from an actor, because the stuff I do is pretty, dialogue and performance based. So it's kind of just learning that process and how I can get better at that.
Yes, I'm working on the second feature of the 476 AD saga, Chapter 2, The Dawning of the Age of Pisces. I'm finishing that. That should be done hopefully around Christmas. And then I'm working on the pre-production for a Nikola Tesla biography called Tesla Beyond Imagination, which is going to cost even more. So but things are going in a good direction. But one thing I've learned with Chapter 1 is that you don't want to be the mother, the father, the uncle, the grandpa, the everything in the movie. You don't want to take, the cross on your shoulders and go Golgotha, because that's what I did, and it sort of killed me in a way. And interestingly, that during the process of doing the Chapter 1 Last Light of Aries, I actually shot another feature called Sane in 1974, which was a weird situation. But yeah, I would suggest let other people take care of a lot of other things if you don't really have to.
Well, right now my emphasis is actually learning how to be a movie maker and learning more about sound. And I'm really happy to have found the Denver Open Media Center. So thank you for being here.
We're still almost done with Jean-Claude Van Damme's Dan Van. And then while we're in post on that, I'll be doing the 48-hour film project, which we have no idea that's going to be because you can't. And then I also do last year I did a web series called The Real Nerds Pod Show, Season 1, and then we'll be going into doing Season 2 later. And the thing I've taken away from this festival is I've been watching everyone's work and what shots they're choosing to tell their story and be storytellers. So I don't really have any conclusions. I've just been researching. So that's all I got.
As for our film, the Traveler was meant to be like a pitch for a television series. So we're currently working on the Bible to hopefully pitch it to be a television series. And on top of that, we're kind of working on a possible web series of 6 episodes with some local talent that liked the film and wanted to use us to create 6 episodes. So that just still writing various features, and we'll see what goes there.
Awesome. All right, we got 2 more questions.
Hi, how you doing? Listen, I've been a member of Denver Open Media since 2011, and I'm a broadcast journalism major at MSU Denver. I've been learning several different filmmaking styles, like 5 steps of persuading people, how to take that and combine it with elements of digital storytelling, who your audience is, how can you how can you grab their attention, like mystery, empathy, astonishment, admiration, contagious awe. How can you combine them together? That's number 1. And I've taken the YouTube Professionals class, and I've been racking my brain with creating a formula to appeal to people with short attention spans and still get your message across. And I've been all trying to win people over with my journalism and my creativity, that I don't own my creativity or have fun with it anymore. Let me ask you a question. How can you win people over? How can you appeal to people with short attention spans and still keep your message across and still have fun with creativity? I want to get mine back.
That is darn important. Go.
So to answer your question, making a movie for people with a short attention span, I think what I've kind of, and I think what is a general good rule as well, is kind of heading towards each one of your scenes means something. It contributes to the story, and if it doesn't, you take it out, And so, and I think with the creativity aspect, it's like if they say if you have writer's block, just write anyway. It doesn't matter what it is. And so I think for me, what I'm trying to do with that same kind of problem with creativity is kind of just, if I have an idea, it's not probably going to be the best. It might not be the most inspiring, but to just go with it. I think most of the creativity in filmmaking, at least for me, comes from the process where in the process of making the movie is where I come across something, and so that's why I think writing, if you just write, it's like that's where your ideas are going to come from. It's because through the process of doing that, you're gonna get your creativity back. And so I think if you're able to combine that and just get that creativity out there, because it's in you, then it's just about expressing it in a way that's short and concise and not blabbing on. I think in my head, my ideas are a lot more than what I should be saying in the movie. So it's just trying to be concise and be meaningful that way.
Well, that was a really tough question. I wish. Well, what I am doing is I always concentrate, especially during the editing. What I think is how less, according to how more. So I show as less as possible to make them be a part of the movie, and that's what I'm trying to do.
I'm trying to ask myself the same question. I don't know, really. I think in terms of short attention span, that's something that I'm trying to get better at just because my movies are kind of slow. So it's like, that's something I'm struggling with. But in terms of creativity, I think, I don't know. I think it's just about doing what's right for you, or like doing what's true, like what you want to do, like not worrying about what other people are going to like, or, you know, not trying to please anybody else, but just trying to please yourself with your work. You know what I mean? And I think that's the most creative thing you can do, I think. But I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out for myself. So I got to think about it too.
Because I'm trying to please myself, but at the same time, I'm not grabbing people's attentions like I did with my career advice piece or any piece I've done for Denver Open Media that I also have on my YouTube channel. It's getting very little views, not as popular as those viral videos.
Hey, Scoop. We'll talk to you more about that after, okay?
Hey.
Well, let's let the film.
Just to add something what they've all said, I think to answer your question, I feel like I'm taking a bar exam here, but I would say ambience and atmosphere. Ambience and atmosphere is something that I always go for in the film because there is a storyline. There is a story, and it's a clear story. Everything is concise. We have the Aristotle's three-act, structure. But then there's that ambience and atmosphere that makes you want to watch a movie for some weird, strange reason, a subconscious reason. And I think it's sort of like hearing a song. You hear a song and you hear the same song, your favorite song, 1,000 times, and you never get bored with it. Because the atmosphere of that song takes you to a different dimension. It takes you to a different place. That's what film is. Film is supposed to take us to a different place. It's not only supposed to give us a storyline. That's what newspapers are. You read a newspaper, you throw a newspaper away. You're not going to read the same newspaper tomorrow. But you'll watch the same movie 20 times if you really like it. And I think what you're talking about, the whole ADD thing, I think it has to do with the fact that we need to be entertained in our souls, if that answers sort of your question.
I think as far as creativity goes, really just draw on your own passions. And when you are creating something that is really about who you are and really captures the soul essence of what you're trying to put out there, that other people will see that. And if they can connect with that on a soul level, then they'll watch it as many times as they can. But I think as far as all your other questions go, I really want to learn all those things too.
I guess the easy answer would be to keep it under 2 minutes and use quick cuts. But that doesn't, I wouldn't, for me, at the end of the day, you're making art, and I don't think you can dissect art and try to find a science and a formula on how to, make something popular. Like, it just needs to live and breathe and be its own thing. So I feel like you should just do it. And, it may take 10 years to find an audience, but at least it'll be genuine in your own creativity, and it doesn't answer to, the outside world's, what the outside world wants. Just let it be its own thing, and then, damn, my brain just locked up. Yeah, just do it, and don't try to make it a science. It's art. It's an abstract thing that can't be quantified a lot of times. So.
Well, I never officially went to film school for the most part, but I watched a lot of movies over the years. I remember, when I was 17 and just watching movies and reading these books on screenwriting, which is where I kind of started, is I always found myself watching and clocking movies and watching the counters on the VCR or whatever I was watching and see how long it took them to get me into it. Like, okay, where did it start? It was at 10 minutes, was it 15? If you don't have your audience, I'd say my rule is by page 15, I better have something that's grabbed you or you lost your audience. So that's kind of my rule of thumb where I go. And now that I'm working kind of, I've never really wrote anything for TV, so I'm trying to turn our little short film into a series. So my rule is like, the opening to the whole thing on the pilot episode is what I've written so far is by page 10, before even the credits come up. I mean, I've already killed somebody, exploded something, did something that raised their, and the ambition of everything to keep them hopefully coming back after that commercial break. So, it all depends. So.
Thank you so much for that great question. All right, we have another question coming up.
So, kind of following up on one of the questions earlier about now the tools for filmmaking are in the hands of anyone who wants to make a movie, that could potentially have some implications in terms of marketplace saturation, right? Everyone is making a movie. So what plans do each of you have in terms of distribution and, more importantly, profitability? Or is it much more a field of dreams, build it and they will come kind of strategy? Have any of you put any thought into that?
For me right now, most of my ambitions are kind of, figure out how to make a movie and then figure out how to make the story more and more original. And then I think I've been playing around with the idea of kind of getting it out there more. For me, I feel like the ambition, I haven't thought about it as much as maybe I should have, but so I wouldn't know what to say, but yeah.
Well, I'm not shooting my films to distribute. I'm shooting them because I have stories to tell and share with people. That's why I'm shooting them. And I feel lucky when I'm coming here, meeting nice people like you, and sharing my work, getting the feedback from you, how you feel about the movie I shot. So, and if everybody makes movies, so it's good. So we'll watch more.
I think it's just about trying to focus on making something really good first, and then from there, I'm just trying to get it out there to as many people as possible. Putting it into festivals or eventually putting it online. Just anybody who will watch it, just sending it to them, and just hopefully something happens. But it's just about, I don't know, I think about just hustling. Well, trying to make a good product and then just hustling after that to get people to watch it, unless somebody else comes up with a new model. But I think that's the model for now. But we'll see.
Yes, plain and simple, yes. As a painter, when I paint and draw, I don't think about money. As an artist, I don't think about money, but life makes you need money. So you have to. I spend everything I owned on my movie, everything. So I have no choice than to look for other ways, other avenues of distribution. So it'll probably go on demand elements. We had a accidental YouTube footage that came out from chapter 2, and we ended up with 150-some thousand views coming from Saudi Arabia, India, Malaysia, and so that was an good accident that I'm now seeing where my demographic is, where I can sell. So yeah, you have to.
The movie and videos that I've made or helped create are all for creative purposes, and anyone that is seeing them is just because they've wanted to see it or it's come into their field of vision. At this point, I don't have any ambitions for selling my work or the knowledge to do it.
Growing up, I was just outside of the iPhone video generation. I had to ask my dad to borrow his camera for a school project. I can just pick up and do it. And I feel like if I had been there then, I would have been able to jump in on the YouTube startup and promote my movies then. But now we're just a few years past that, where now the internet is noise, and it's very hard to put my movies on the web and expect them, like I get hits, but I'm just like, there's very rarely comments or anything about it. It's just like someone watched it and that's the end of it and it's gone and it's out in this void. So really for me now it's to actually physically take my movie out to festivals or local screenings, or just to like just get it in front of people physically, like do the grassroots and get it there, because on the internet it's impersonal, and if you show up with your movie, you show the person you're showing it to that like you are invested in it. It's not just some cash grab, it's something you put a lot of heart and soul into. So hopefully they'll see that and return the attention.
Yeah, I mean, I'm old school. I always liked going to the theater growing up. When we finished our film, I wanted to have a premiere inside of a theater. It wasn't just going to be done and going out to festivals. We had to celebrate it. It took a year and a half to do. You know, it was almost like a great accomplishment, dream come true to be able to have it in front of 130, 150 people inside of a theater that were enjoying it for the first time. And, you know, it's, you know, putting it on the web, it's on there, but it's password protected. I let people see it who won't, you know, need to see it. You know, that's basically it, yeah.
Awesome, thank you guys. You know, and I think all these questions were really fantastic. You know, that question earlier about the science of, you know, getting people to watch your film and things like that. It is art. It is something that you create. It's something that if you believe in it, other people believe in it with you, and I don't think you should change that. You know, Colorado has a fantastic film community. We have the resources. We have Denver Open Media. We have, you know, any equipment that you need. We have the beautiful landscape. We have the crew. We have everything that you need here in Colorado to do and accomplish all these fantastic stories and just film, you know, and to promote talented storytellers from around the world is Intendence Film Festival's main goal, and I think you guys have really contributed to that, and I thank you for coming out here with us. And you're just fantastic. All right, you guys, thank you for coming out. Tonight is the last night of the festival. We're going to head upstairs and have a drink. And good night to everyone that's watching us on the live Denver Open Media broadcast. Thank you.